And we're back in the room, or rather, we're in the kitchen where I've never filmed before, so it's not somewhere we're back to. Moving swiftly on. So, I have, as a Brit, imported a new Nintendo 3DS from Australia. New 3DS XL, in fact. And the reason being, I've got this stuff off to the side, here's my normal 3DS XL. And I shall explain that Pokemon Alpha Ruby has gone and knackered the thing. Oh, you can see that quite nicely on the screen there. Now you might see these little marks. They've been made by the stylus. And what basically happened was, in the final gym, I was just tracing out little paths on the ice panels. Now that looks really nasty on there actually, but believe me, those scratches are incredibly faint. You can actually see them better on the camera than you can with the naked eye. They look more like marks on the screen, and when it's turned on, eventually it does turn on. Wait, please boot up quickly. There we go. Now, and this might not pick up on the microphone. Microphone? What the hell am I talking about? This might not pick up on the camera, but those marks have had a catastrophic effect on the screen. If you can imagine where they were, I'll just turn that off because that's not doing anything. Oh god, it won't. Come on, turn off. Yes, where those marks are, there you go, get back on there so you can see them. There we go. You can see a sort of a zigzag part here. If you can imagine lines of stuck pixels, which is when pixels are permanently lit on at one colour. That's what it's like when you're playing it. And anything moving, it just absolutely ruins it. So, lesson there, don't let the stylus go anywhere near the top screen. Should be, basic, makes sense sort of thing. Common sense, that's the word. But, touching that light, I really didn't think it would have an effect that bad. I mean, that system's over a year old, and that's the first sort of damage to the screen at all. So, that I considered a bit unplayable, which gave me the thought of importing one of these from Australia, where they are currently available. And the funny thing was, I actually, I went on PlayAsia to check this out. This, when translated into pound sterling, was 160. £159, I believe. £160. No, sorry, tell a lie. It was £170. That's the one. £170 plus $20 shipping, which took it to a grand total of about £180. Which is expensive, and you're importing. Obviously, you expect that. But then I noticed in the local town where we have a Granger Games, just sort of northeast thing. They were selling these, plain old, in fact this exact type, the silver top 3DS XL, for £179, so basically the same price. Which is a bit odd, and I've since looked on Amazon, they're actually starting, I think for the blue one, I think it's £160 upwards to £200. So rather bizarrely, it was no more expensive to import this from Australia and get it flown over by FedEx, which I'll add only took 4 days, and that's over a weekend as well. And there wasn't even any import duty on it, much to my surprise. I thought there would be. But yeah, new 3DS XL for no more than a normal 3DS XL. So that's that story, and maybe at this point you're expecting an unboxing video. Well, bugger that, I've already done it, There's the new one, and the old one. This is the metallic black, as you would have read on the box most likely. No, you wouldn't have, because it's on the top of the box. There we go. Funnily enough though, the code, if you've watched Blunty's channel you'd know, the coding on the back, sorry, camera's down there, indicates it's red. Weird. So let's go on to this whole region locking business and why you would import, at least if you're in Britain. So as far as Nintendo are concerned, the whole of Europe and Australia are both the same region, which means that any European game will work on Australian system. It is actually a European system. You start this up and you get your language select, and it includes all the European languages. And it actually goes further than that. If the camera can pick this up on the back, it's over here is the product code, and the camera's probably not picking that up, but it reads out as red-s-eur-C0, EUR for year, which is of course the code on Nintendo products for Europe. So this has a European product code on the back, and it actually has down here the address for Nintendo's European headquarters in Frankfurt, Germany. So for all intents and purposes, it is a European unit that is sold in Australia. Which also means if you have any digital purchases, which I have about at least 7 I think, you can also transfer them over and they will work no problem. Of course, the inverse is also true. My original 3DS I sent to a friend in New Zealand a year ago now, and that's always worked absolutely fine. Next step, let's just talk a little bit about the hardware features. What's changed? Well, form factor's generally the same. It's sort of more. The top is sort of flatter. You can see there's a sort of more rounded feel. This just feels a bit flatter. Some ways a bit nicer, but oh god, look at the mess. I wish they'd stop using this sort of bloody gloss stuff, which you've got to hold it. Let's see our big changes. Memory or SD card slot has gone completely. That is now underneath this panel, and it's a micro SD card, which is a real pain in the arse because you can't just easily take it out. In fact, you actually have to undo these little screws. But they do have a way around that, which is probably won't bring it on the screen. They have now added to the data management options the ability to wirelessly connect the 3DS, new 3DS, to a PC, and you can now transfer files directly over Wi-Fi from this to a PC. Now that's only really going to apply to things like photos, but it is you can see all my stuff installed. Settings is actually over this way. Now, if you are thinking of upgrading your 3DS, I do have one absolutely massive hint. I'll go to the other settings first, because this is that's the other new option, Super Stable 3D. That's to calibrate, or rather to test, the new 3D tracking used by the camera, which works brilliantly. It actually does work. It'll get a little bit juddery if you're sort of really shaking your head from side to side, basically if you're trying to break it, but otherwise it works absolutely fine. And I can only really see it being a problem if you're, say, possibly travelling on a train or going through turbulence on a plane so heavy that you're about to break up anyway. So next page, system transfer, which we're not going to do. But yes, this is our system transfer, etc. Didn't realise I named it, never mind. Now, when you're going to do your transfer, there's something really important to be aware of. You've got 3 options. You can transfer completely wirelessly. You can do what they call a partial wireless transfer. I don't know what that is. And the third option is transfer via PC. For God's sake, transfer it via PC. Because the wireless in the original 3DS, and apparently also the 3DS, the new 3DS, is still only the Wi-Fi standard B to G. It's not N, so the speeds is between 11 and 54 megabits a second. Basically, it comes down to, you get about 700 kbs when using wireless transfer. And it turns out with the few, the games I had, that's a bit of a mess up there, isn't it? Will I cut it? Will I not? Probably not. Maybe a jump cut, who knows? Yes, so the data on the card, the SD card, came to 11.5 gigabytes. This was a bit of a problem. In fact, it took 4.5 hours to transfer it completely wirelessly. And then the internet crapped out in the last few minutes when it was on the final stage, and the whole lot was lost. Then I did a PC transfer the second time, and that took about 1 hour, 10 minutes to complete 100%. The main part is just getting all the data from the SD card onto the PC, and then you got it from the PC back on the SD card. The second part takes longer because obviously read speeds are faster than write speeds, and these were class 10 SD cards, I will point out. So yes, that's my advice if you upgrade or get a new if you go from a 3DS to a 3DS XL, which is what you'll have to do in Europe at the minute unless you import, or when you do get your hands on one of these PC transfer. I'm probably going all Ashens on, I'm pointing and everything. Right, so data management, this was the other thing I'm going to say. We've got our micro SD management, because it's a micro SD card. Please wait, yeah, move or copy, but here we go. This application to move and copy data between your systems, micro SD card and PC. There you go. You'll need the following: PC with Windows 7, Windows 8, and a wireless access point, because it is done digitally, wirelessly. There you go, the access point, which I've not configured, but blah blah blah. Basically, connect this directly to the PC and do your file transfers instead of moving the SD card, which is nice. But basically that's only going to be for stuff like photos, because otherwise you'll be there for 500 years. So I've mentioned the motion transfers in the camera. There's also a little infrared camera there, or infrared sensor, which basically just improves the quality of that. So the head tracking really is quite accurate, although I would say that if you play the Pokemon games, especially Pokemon Anime, or however the hell you're supposed to pronounce that, when you play with your Pokemon, it doesn't seem to really help it with picking up facial expressions, which was a bit disappointing. Volume sliders moved to here. It was on the side here. It's a bit more out of the way here, which I like, and I will say I think the sound quality has been improved slightly, which was one of my biggest complaints with this one. The sound got very crackly. So that's another thing. Right, see, the stick here actually seems to be a bit more rubberized. That might just be because it's new, but the grip definitely feels better, and I've made a slight change there with the range of motions. This is a more harsh indentation, whereas on the other one it was more of a smooth curl down. Buttons have changed a bit. Start and select are now over here, which overall is probably a more convenient place near your thumb, and they're not these horrible big tacky buttons. Home button's this little one here, which is now fully recessed, so that's not something you're really going to press accidentally. And this little thing is our C stick, which is the other big selling point. And it's not a C stick. It shouldn't be called a C stick because it has no range of movement whatsoever. It literally is a nub, and it works by, applying pressure. It is exactly like the little nubs you used to see on laptops to control the mouse, which is of course the obvious comparison that everybody has made. I'll make it too, because that's for transferring in via Pokemon Bank. Yeah, anyway, so yes, it works. It's a nub. It's not a second stick. It shouldn't be called a C stick either, because even on the GameCube that was still a stick. It wasn't a good stick, but it was a stick. But for its intended purpose, which is going to be things like manipulating the camera, it works well enough. It's something the system didn't originally have, and now it does, without that horrible 3D pad thing. So that's the system as well. We shall just close it instead of turn it off. A few changes on the bottom here. This is now our game card slot. So it's not on the back of the system anymore, it's up here on the front. And stylus is hidden here, which basically takes up, since it's going in sort of vertically on the system, because you take this back panel off, it literally takes up the entire space there allocated. Whereas you could have a longer stylus by going in through the side. What's over here? Nothing. Nothing at all, because they've moved that. Right. Yeah, nothing on the sides there as well. So, here's our other thing. We have extra buttons. Not really a fan of the placement. I'm saying there's nowhere else I could put them, but when you're holding it, you're obviously going to have to hold it a bit differently now from what you probably did before, but it is, when you're trying to use them, it's all too easy to sort of click that as well. They didn't really have a lot of options, but I don't consider it very good design. And the other problem here, well, let's just see. I mean, this is the charging point now, because of course there's no card slot. But this does present a problem. I'll just nab over here. Now, you might not have seen this before. This is... You might remember that the normal 3DS came with a power adapter and a cradle. In Europe in particular, the 3DS XL did not come with a cradle, and it certainly did not come with a power adapter either. What I should have said was, it didn't come with a power adapter, and it certainly didn't come with a cradle. So this was sold separately, and actually as a pack you got a power adapter as well, which, you know, I wanted the cradle, and getting the power adapter helped because it meant I could send off the other 3DS. Now, that, you know, that's a cradle, it pops in, blah blah blah, charges. Here's the thing. Here's our charging contacts. Where are the charging contacts on the new 3DS? Oh, they're in the middle. So you cannot use the 3DS XL cradle with the new 3DS XL. Bloody brilliant. There's always something Nintendo do that seems to just break compatibility with everything. So that's not my happiest bit of news, and also our headphones are now completely centered, whereas before they were offset to about here. Right, that's pretty much... Oh, it doesn't even fit in the... Oh no, it does. It fits! You see, it's the same form factor. It fits perfectly. Except for the bloody... the pins are trying to go into it, which they can't. Ugh. So yeah, that's also annoying. So that is basically the new 3DS XL. There are no games which fully take advantage of it at the moment, and the only benefit you'll really get is some improved loading times. And of course you've got the whole head tracker, which makes the 3D a viable option, but not in Pokemon, because Pokemon still has those frame rate problems in battle scenes, which is the main time you would use 3D, and it renders the game bloody horrible. So, you know. But Majora's Mask... And that's pretty much all there is to say about it. If you're in Britain, you want to import one, it works absolutely flawlessly. In fact, it's cheaper than buying a 3DS XL here, marginally. And seeing as I mentioned that, PlayAsia did in fact throw in a case for it, completely free. And you know, it's not the best quality thing in the world, but it's nice and sturdy. And to be quite frank, you know, separate pouch for the games and holding straps to hold that in securely. You know for a fact that the shops would charge you 10 or 15 quid for that. So, given that the price was already as good as or better than a 3DS XL, you can't go wrong. Unless there's a problem, in which case you've got major difficulties on your hands, because of course you can't send this for a warranty repair with Nintendo Europe. Yet. Right, so that's pretty much all there is to say about that. Just slide you there. And before I go, just in case you want to, oh, look how far we've come. Oh, the original DS, which is broken because somebody, not me, dropped it. So the hinges, ugh. But look at that. Look at this big D-pad. Oh, look at the bloody size of this thing. Broken. And of course, so DS Lite, which is what I use. And oh god, that's no, looks filthy, horrible. Right, so there you go. 3DS XL, new 3DS XL.